They're experts at ring defense, three-dimensional positioning. Captain Miller's voice cuts through the static. Look there, 3 o'clock. More than one sniper group. Maverick's response crackles back. I've got another sniper team at my 9 o'clock. Major Vance's voice is cold steel. They're more prepared than we anticipated. Miller exhales slowly. I told you not to underestimate the enemy. Junior's fingers tighten on his rifle. What are we waiting for? Let's take them out. Miller's reply is immediate. Listen to Viper's call. Stay disciplined. In the humid shadows of the Golden Triangle, the jungle doesn't just watch, it waits. To breach the quiver, you don't just need superior firepower. You need a brother willing to take a bullet so your story doesn't end in the mud. Before we go into details, click subscribe, like and comment where you're watching from. I would be glad to know this story goes as far as Canada, all of the United States of America, Australia, Africa, and even the United Kingdom. So let me know where you are listening from. Let's begin. Captain Jack Viper Miller pressed his body into the jungle floor, the mud seeping through his tactical vest like cold fingers. Through his night vision scope, the quiver looked like a fortress pulled straight from hell. Wooden structures reinforced with steel plates, guard towers rising above the canopy, and wire fencing that glinted even in the darkness. This wasn't some backwater drug lab. This was a military installation masquerading as a narcotics operation. Oracle, you seeing this? Miller whispered into his throat. Major Sarah Vance's voice came back crisp and calm from her overwatch position 300 meters to his east. Confirmed, Viper. Count 6 guard towers, at least 20 hostiles on thermal. But that's not what worries me. Miller's jaw tightened. The machine gun nests. Affirmative. I count 3 heavy weapons positions. 12 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and 9 o'clock. Overlapping fields of fire. This is a killing ground. Miller studied the layout through his scope, his mind running calculations that could mean the difference between mission success and a body bag ride home. The compound sat in a natural depression, surrounded by thick jungle on all sides. Smart. Any assault would have to come uphill, exposed, right into those gun positions. They're dug in like ticks, he muttered. Ring defense is our only play. Agreed, Oracle replied. We encircle them, take out the nest simultaneously, collapse inward. But Viper, those machine guns have to go silent at the exact same time. 1 second of warning, and this whole operation turns into a massacre. Miller knew she was right. Ring defense required precision that bordered on the impossible. 6 operators, 3 targets, 0 margin for error. Maverick Jr., you copy? Dark Horse copies, came Maverick's gravelly response. Shadow copies, Jr. added, his voice carrying the nervous energy of a man trying too hard to sound calm. You two take the 9 o'clock position. That nest is sitting on an elevated platform with 2 gunners. Oracle and I will coordinate the 12 and 4 o'clock strikes from our positions. Miller paused, letting the weight of what he was about to say settle. Timing has to be perfect. We all fire on Oracle's mark. Understood? Understood. The responses came back in unison, but Miller could hear the tension thrumming beneath the words. He shifted slightly, adjusting his rifle, and that's when he saw it. Movement in his peripheral vision. A 4th guard tower, partially concealed by camouflage netting, sitting at the 6 o'clock position. Oracle, we've got a problem. I see it, she said, her voice tight. That's new intelligence. For nests, not 3. Miller's mind raced. For simultaneous kills, with a 6-man team meant splitting resources even thinner. This changes everything. No, Oracle's voice cut through his doubt like a blade. This confirms everything. They knew we were coming. This isn't just a fortress, Viper. This is a trap, and we're already inside it. Maverick moved through the jungle like a ghost, each footfall deliberate, testing the ground before committing his weight. Behind him, Junior mirrored his movements, their two-man element pushing deeper into the 9 o'clock sector. The machine gun nest sat 70 meters ahead, a wooden platform built into the crook of two massive trees, elevated 12 feet off the ground. Two gunners visible, possibly more inside the shadows. "Dark Horse to Viper," Maverick whispered, his voice barely audible even to Junior 3 feet behind him. "We're at the staging point. Eyes on target." Miller's response crackled through his earpiece. "Copy, Dark Horse. Hold position. Wait for Oracle's mark." Maverick settled into a prone position behind a rotting log, his rifle scope finding the nearest gunner's head. Beside him, Junior took aim at the second target. The plan was simple. 2 bullets, 2 bodies, complete silence. But something felt wrong. Maverick had done this dance too many times in too many countries to ignore the crawling sensation up his spine. The jungle was too quiet. No insects. No birds. Just the oppressive weight of humid air and the certainty that they were being watched. "Junior," he breathed, barely moving his lips. "You feel that?" "Yeah," Junior whispered back. "Like walking into a spider's web." Then Maverick saw it. A glint of metal in the underbrush, 30 meters to their left. Not random. Too angular. Too deliberate. His blood went cold. "Viper, we've got." The words died in his throat as shapes materialized from the darkness. Not in front of them, where the machine gun nest sat, but behind them. 3 men in tactical gear, rifles raised, emerging from concealed positions they crawled right past. They'd been there the whole time. Waiting. Watching. "Contact rear!" Junior's shout shattered the silence as he rolled left, his rifle coming around. The jungle erupted in muzzle flashes. Rounds tore through the vegetation where they'd been lying half a second earlier. Maverick returned fire, 3-round bursts that lit up his position like a beacon. He saw one hostile drop, but the others were already moving, flanking professional. "They knew!" Junior screamed into his radio, scrambling for cover behind a tree trunk. "They knew exactly where we'd be." The machine gun nest above them came alive, the heavy weapon's distinctive thunder drowning out everything else. Tracers cut through the darkness in brilliant red lines, chewing through trees and earth. Maverick and Junior were pinned, caught in a crossfire between the prepared ambush and the nest they'd been sent to eliminate. "Viper, the 9 o'clock is compromised," Maverick shouted over the chaos. "It's a kill box. They were waiting for us." Miller's voice came back urgent, the calm commander mask slipping. "Fall back. Dark Horse, fall back to secondary position." But there was no secondary position. Behind them was the ambush team. Above them was the machine gun. To their flanks were more hostiles moving in, closing the trap. Junior looked at Maverick, and in that split second of eye contact, they both understood. The enemy hadn't just prepared for an assault. They'd prepared specifically for ring defense. They knew the doctrine. They knew the tactics. They knew exactly how special forces would attack a fortified position. "We're not falling back," Maverick said, his voice suddenly calm. He met Junior's eyes again. "We're already dead. Might as well make it count." Junior's face went pale, then hard. He nodded once. "Oracle," Maverick called out, his voice steady despite the rounds snapping past his head. "You still need this nest eliminated?" "Affirmative." Oracle's voice came back. "Then mark us," Maverick said. "We'll take it with us." Major Sarah, Oracle, Vance had earned her call sign the hard way. In a community of elite operators who trusted gut instinct and aggressive action, she was the one who saw 3 moves ahead, who calculated angles and odds while bullets were still in the air. Now, Watching the 9 o'clock sector dissolve into chaos through her thermal scope, every calculation pointed to catastrophic failure. "Viper, we're compromised across the board," she said, her voice ice-cold despite the adrenaline dumping into her system. "If the 9 o'clock was a prepared position, assume all our approaches are burned." Miller's response was immediate. "What's your call, Oracle?" She loved him for that. No ego. No second-guessing. Just trust in her tactical brain when his was drowning in the fog of war. Oracle's eyes swept across the compound through her scope, processing information faster than conscious thought. The machine gun nests were still the primary threat, but now she could see the larger pattern. The sentries weren't random. They were positioned to channel attackers into specific corridors. The lighting was deliberate, creating shadows where defenders could hide while exposing approaches. This wasn't a drug lab. This was a tactical kill zone designed by someone who understood Special Forces doctrine. "All units, listen up," Oracle commanded, her voice cutting through the radio chatter like a scalpel. "We're not aborting. We're adapting." She could hear the collective intake of breath. "Maverick Jr., you've got every eye on your position right now. That makes you the distraction." Maverick's voice came back strained but steady. "Copy. We're the bait. You're the hammer," Oracle corrected. "Keep them focused on you. Make noise. Make them think you're the main assault." She shifted her scope to the eastern approach where two more operators, call signs Reaper and Ghost, were holding in reserve. "Reaper, Ghost, you're now the primary assault element. The 4 o'clock nest is still watching the 9 o'clock firefight. That's your window. 60 seconds. Oracle," Reaper's voice carried doubt. "That nest has clear lines on our approach." "Not if they're looking the wrong way," Oracle replied. "Trust the math." Then came the voice that made her jaw clench. Staff Sergeant Collins, a transfer from conventional forces who'd spent the last 3 months questioning every call she made. "Oracle, with respect, sending 2 men into an exposed approach while we're already in contact is suicide." The radio went silent. Every operator on the net was listening. This was the moment where discipline either held or shattered. Oracle's response was quiet, deadly calm. "Collins, you're right. It might be suicide, which is why I'm not sending you. I'm sending operators who trust their tactical lead even when they can't see the full picture." She paused, letting it sink in. "You want to question orders, you do it after we're extracted. Until then, you maintain radio discipline or I'll have you on report for insubordination under fire. Clear?" The silence stretched. Then, grudgingly, "Clear. Viper," Oracle continued, her voice softening slightly. "We need to force their hand. They've prepared for a methodical approach. Let's give them chaos instead." Miller's response carried grim understanding. "You want to go loud. I want to go biblical," Oracle said. "Light them up. All remaining claymores, all flashbangs, everything we brought for the breach. We turn this jungle into hell and push through while they're blind." She could feel the hesitation through the radio. This wasn't the clean, surgical operation they'd planned. This was a brawl. Ugly, desperate, and costly. "Oracle," Miller said carefully. "Your assessment. Casualties?" She'd already done the math. Had been doing it since the moment Maverick called contact. "Acceptable losses, 2 to 3 Kia, multiple wounded. Unacceptable losses, total unit compromise." The words tasted like ash in her mouth, but she said them anyway. "We either commit now, or we're all dead in the next 10 minutes. Miller was silent for 3 heartbeats. Then, "All units, you heard Oracle. We're going loud in 30 seconds. Prepare for simultaneous breach. This is no longer silent battle. This is a knife fight, and we're bringing a flamethrower." Oracle's finger found her rifle trigger. Through her scope, She watched the machine gunner in the 4 o'clock nest, still focused on the chaos at 9 o'clock, still unaware. "Mark on my count," she said softly. 3, 2, 1. Execute. Before the world exploded into fire and chaos, there had been silence. And in that silence, pressed into the mud at the compound's perimeter, Sergeant Logan Reed had done what soldiers do when they think they might die. He'd talked about something stupid. "So this girl," Logan whispered to Corporal Danny, Dolphin, Martinez, belly crawling beside him toward their designated breach point. "She shows up to the restaurant 45 minutes late, right?" Dolphin's response was barely audible. "Logan, man, we're supposed to be maintaining radio silence. Oracle said 30 seconds until we go loud. Let me finish my story." Logan adjusted his rifle, inching forward another foot. The mud was cold and smelled like death and vegetation. "So she's late, she's on her phone the whole time, and then, get this, she asks me what I do for a living." Dolphin's helmet shifted slightly. Logan could tell he was listening despite himself. "I tell her I'm in the Army. Special Forces. She literally looks at me and says, 'Oh, so you're like unemployed but with better benefits.'" Despite the situation, despite the machine gun nest 60 meters ahead, Dolphin's shoulders shook with silent laughter. "You're making that up." "God's honest truth," Logan swore. "Worst blind date of my life. My sister set it up. Said this girl was perfect for me. Yeah, perfect if I wanted to feel like an idiot for 3 hours." They crawled in silence for a moment, the only sound their breathing and the distant drone of insects. Then Dolphin spoke, his voice different, quieter. "You ever think about it? What happens if we don't make it back?" Logan's hand found solid ground, pulled himself forward. "All the time, brother. All the time. I mean, like, who would even know? My ex-wife remarried. My kid calls someone else dad. My mom's got Alzheimer's. Doesn't even remember I exist half the time." Dolphin's voice cracked slightly. "If I die here, in this jungle, who's even gonna care?" Logan stopped crawling, turned his head to look at Dolphin. "I will. Logan, no, listen. If you go down, I'm carrying you out. If I don't make it, you're telling my sister exactly how stupid that blind date story was, so she knows her matchmaking skills are garbage. We don't disappear in this jungle, Dolphin. We don't become ghosts. We take care of each other, and we go home." Dolphin was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was steady. "You know what the worst part is? I never told my kid I loved him. Last time I saw him, he was at his stepdad's baseball game. I was on leave. I drove by the field, watched from the parking lot. He hit a home run. I wanted to run out there, wanted to tell him I was proud, that I loved him, that I'm sorry for missing so much. But I just sat in my car and cried like a coward." "That's not being a coward," Logan said. "That's being human." "Maybe." Dolphin's hand found Logan's shoulder, squeezed once. "But if we make it out of here, if we somehow survive this mess, I'm telling him. I'm done pretending it doesn't matter." Logan nodded. "Deal. And I'm never letting my sister set me up again. I'd rather die alone than go through another date like that." They both laughed, quietly, the kind of desperate humor that men share when they're staring at their own mortality. Then Oracle's voice caught through the radio. 30 seconds. Prepare for breach." Logan and Dolphin locked eyes one more time. "Love you, brother," Dolphin said. "Love you too," Logan replied. "Now let's go kill some bad guys and get you home to your kid." They moved forward, two men who'd shared their fears and failures in the mud, bound together by something deeper than orders or duty. Brotherhood. The kind that made dying for someone else feel less like sacrifice and more like honor. 20 seconds. The jungle held its breath. and Logan Reed made peace with whatever came next. The world ended in thunder and fire. Oracle's command crackled through every radio simultaneously. Execute! 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 The jungle erupted as 12 Claymore mines detonated in coordinated fury, shredding the perimeter wire and everything behind it. The carefully maintained silence shattered into screaming chaos. Logan and Dolphin surged forward through the breach point, their rifles already firing, tracers cutting through the smoke like angry hornets. The Hedgehog base, so carefully fortified, became a death trap for its own defenders as the ring of attackers collapsed inward from all sides. The machine gun nest at 12 o'clock opened up, its heavy caliber rounds ripping through the night, but Oracle had already adjusted. A law rocket streaked from Reaper's position, impacting the platform in a fireball that turned night into day for 3 seconds. The gunner didn't even have time to scream. "Moving!" Logan shouted, sprinting through the wire toward the nearest building. Rounds snapped past his head, so close he could feel the displacement of air. Beside him, Dolphin fired control bursts, dropping 2 sentries who'd emerged from cover. They hit the wall together, backs pressed against wood that was already splintering from incoming fire. "This is insane!" Dolphin yelled over the cacophony. "This is Tuesday!" Logan yelled back, slapping a fresh magazine into his rifle. At the 9 o'clock position, Maverick and Junior had become the eye of the storm. With the element of surprise gone, they'd abandoned stealth for aggression. Maverick's rifle barked in rapid succession as he cleared the ambush team that had pinned them. Junior tossed a thermite grenade into the machine gun nest above, and the resulting explosion sent burning phosphorus raining down like hellfire. "Dark Horse to all units," Maverick called out, his voice ragged. 9 o'clock nest is down. We're pushing to the central compound. But the enemy wasn't breaking. They were professional, trained, fighting with a coordination that spoke of military discipline rather than cartel thugs. From concealed positions throughout the compound, automatic weapons opened up, creating interlocking fields of fire that turned the open ground into a killing zone. "They're not running." Ghost's voice was sharp with surprise. "They're defending like it's the Alamo." Viper's voice cut through the chaos. "Because they're protecting something. Oracle, we need eyes on that central building, now." Oracle was already moving, her position compromised the moment they'd gone loud. She sprinted through the jungle, thermal scope swinging, looking for heat signatures that didn't match the engagement pattern. Then she saw it. In the central structure, multiple thermal blooms clustered together, but they weren't moving, weren't fighting. They were static, like cargo. Or prisoners. Viper, central building has multiple stationary heat signatures. Could be hostages, could be high-value targets. Recommend priority breach. But something else caught her attention. A separate thermal signature, isolated in the eastern corner of the compound, pulsing with heat that was all wrong. Too hot. Too consistent. Not human. Viper, hold breach. I'm seeing an anomalous heat source, eastern sector. Could be explosives, could be. Her words cut off as the 4 o'clock machine gun nest, which she'd thought was suppressed, roared back to life. Reaper's scream cut through the radio. "I'm hit! I'm hit!" Oracle's scope found him, saw him dragging himself behind cover, his left leg dark with blood. Ghost was already moving to him, laying suppressive fire, but the machine gun had them pinned. The carefully orchestrated assault was fragmenting, units getting isolated, the initiative slipping away. All units, consolidate on the central building. Viper ordered, his tactical brain forcing order onto chaos. We're losing cohesion. Rallied Point Alpha, move now. Logan and Dolphin broke from cover, sprinting across open ground as rounds kicked up dirt around their feet. Logan felt something hot punch his shoulder, spun him halfway around, but he kept running. Not a through and through. Just a graze. Probably. He'd worry about it if he survived. They crashed through the door of the central building together, rifles up, and froze. The room was full of metal canisters, each marked with biohazard symbols and designations in Russian. The thermal signatures Oracle had seen weren't hostages. They were containers. Refrigerated containers maintaining specific temperatures for their deadly contents. Oracle. Logan's voice was hollow. You're not going to believe this. He keyed his helmet camera, streaming the feed to her position. The quiver isn't a drug lab. It's a bioweapons depot. The radio went silent for 1 heartbeat. 2. Then Oracle's voice came back, and for the first time since the operation began, Logan heard fear in it. Viper, we need immediate extraction and a hazmat team. This entire operation just went from direct action to WMD containment. If those canisters are breached, she didn't finish the sentence. She didn't have to. Outside, the firefight continued, but inside that building, Logan and Dolphin stared at enough weaponized death to kill everyone in the Golden Triangle 10 times over. And somewhere in the compound, someone was still fighting desperately to protect it. Viper's voice came through the radio with a calm that only comes from years of making impossible decisions. All units, new mission parameters. This is now a containment operation. Nothing leaves this compound. Repeat, nothing and no one leaves this compound until we have positive ID on all biological threats. Logan stared at the canisters, his tactical training warring with the animal part of his brain that wanted to run, to get as far from this place as possible. Dolphin's hands were shaking. Viper, what are we looking at here? Logan transmitted, forcing his voice steady. Specifics. We need to know what we're dealing with. The response came from Oracle, not Viper. Helmet cam shows Russian military markings. Based on the canister design and refrigeration setup, likely viral hemorrhagic fever family. Ebola, Marburg, possibly weaponized variants. Logan, listen carefully. Do not breach those containers. Do not allow them to be compromised by fire or explosives. Copy, Logan said, feeling sweat running down his back despite the cool night air. So what's the play? Secure them in place, Viper said. We're calling in CBRN specialists and extraction. But first, we need to clear the rest of the compound. If there are more canisters, if there's production equipment, we need a full assessment before we can risk demolition. Dolphin's voice was tight. Boss, we've got a firefight going on out there. These things might already be compromised. That's when the explosion hit. Not close, but not far enough. The building shook, dust raining from the ceiling. Logan's radio erupted with overlapping voices. Junior's voice cut through. Viper, they're using RPGs now. East wall is compromised. Then Maverick. They're not retreating. They're trying to destroy the compound. They'd rather blow everything than let us take it. Oracle's voice was sharp. Viper, if they're going scorched earth with those canisters inside, I know. Viper cut her off. All units, new priority. Neutralize all enemy combatants with extreme prejudice. No prisoners. We cannot allow them to deliberately breach those biocontainers. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. No prisoners. Full kill order. This wasn't a raid anymore. This was extermination. Logan made a decision. Dolphin, you stay here. Guard these canisters with your life. Nothing gets past you, understand? I don't care if the building's on fire, you keep these containers stable. Dolphin's eyes went wide. Where are you going? To make sure nobody else gets close enough to blow them. Logan checked his rifle, mentally counting his remaining magazines. 4. Plus 2 grenades. Not enough. Never enough. If I don't come back, don't. Dolphin interrupted. Don't do the goodbye speech. You're coming back. Logan nodded once, then moved to the door. Outside, the compound was pure chaos. Buildings burning, tracer fire crisscrossing the compound like deadly lightning, the screams of wounded men mixing with the crack of rifles, and the deeper thunder of explosives. He could see Maverick and Junior pinned behind a stone wall, taking fire from at least 2 positions. Reaper was down, Ghost dragging him toward cover while returning fire one-handed. Then Logan saw it. 3 men in tactical gear, different from the others, moving with purpose toward the central building. One carried what looked like a satchel charge. They weren't defending. They were attacking, targeting the biostorage deliberately. Viper, I've got enemy combatants moving on the central structure with explosives. They're trying to breach the storage. Viper's response was immediate. Stop them. Any means necessary. Logan stepped out of cover and opened fire. His first 3 rounds took the lead man in the chest, dropping him instantly. The second man spun, bringing his rifle around, but Logan was already moving, transitioning targets. 2 shots. Cedra mass. The man went down. The third man, the one with the satchel charge, dove behind a stack of crates. Logan sprinted forward, knowing he was exposed, knowing this was probably suicide, but unable to stop. If that charge went off near the canisters, everyone in this compound was dead. Everyone in the surrounding villages was dead. Maybe everyone in a 50-mile radius. He rounded the crates and came face to face with the man. For one frozen moment, they stared at each other. The man was young, maybe mid-20s, with hard eyes and a scar across his left cheek. His hand was on the detonator. Logan's rifle was coming up. Time stretched like taffy. Then the man smiled. A cold, knowing smile. And pressed the button. Nothing happened. The detonator clicked uselessly. Malfunction. God, or fate, or just random chance had just saved thousands of lives. Logan didn't hesitate. 3 rounds. The man dropped. Logan kicked the satchel charge away, then sank to his knees, adrenaline leaving his body like water from a broken dam. Viper, he said, his voice shaking. Immediate threat neutralized. Explosive device secured. But Viper. He paused, looking around at the burning compound, the bodies, the chaos. We need to end this now. Before someone gets lucky. Agreed, Viper said. Oracle, what's your assessment for full demolition? Oracle's voice was grim. If we can secure the biocanisters in a hardened containment, the medical shelter we brought for casualties could work. We can demolish the rest of the compound. Burn it all. But Viper, we're going to need someone to stay behind and manually detonate. Radio signals are too unreliable with all this interference. The silence on the radio was deafening. Everyone knew what that meant. A volunteer for a one-way trip. Stay behind while the team extracted, set the charges, detonate once everyone was clear. Assuming the extraction went smoothly. Assuming the charges worked properly. Assuming nothing went wrong. Logan keyed his radio before he could think about it. Before the fear could stop him. I'll do it. Negative. Viper's voice came back immediately. Logan, you're already wounded. We need someone, boss. I'm already at the central structure. I know the layout. I've got eyes on the biocanisters. It makes tactical sense. Logan was surprised at how calm his voice sounded. Inside, his heart was hammering so hard he thought it might break through his ribs. Dolphin's voice cut in from inside the building. Logan, no. Don't do this. Someone has to, Logan replied. Might as well be me. Besides, remember that blind date story? I've got nothing to go home to anyway. He tried to make it sound like a joke. It didn't work. Viper was silent for a long moment. Logan could almost hear the commander's brain working through the calculus of war. One life against the mission. One man against the objective. The math was simple, even if it felt like swallowing glass. Oracle? Viper finally said, his voice heavy. Confirm tactical assessment. Oracle's response was quiet. Logan's right. He's in position, knows the site layout, and time is critical. Every minute we delay increases the risk of containment failure. Another pause. It's the right call, Viper. It's just not an easy one. All right, Viper said, and Logan could hear the weight of command in those two syllables. Logan, you're authorized to volunteer. But understand, this is your choice. I'm not ordering you to stay. If you want extraction with the team, we'll find another way. Logan looked around the burning compound, looked at Dolphin's face through the doorway, saw the pain there, the protest building, looked at the canisters, each one holding enough death to make 9/11 look like a minor incident. No, Logan said. I'm staying. But I need something from you, boss. Name it. You make sure Dolphin gets home to his kid. You make sure he tells that boy he loves him. Promise me that. You have my word, Viper said. Dolphin, get your ass out of that building and rally to my position. Dolphin didn't move. Logan, that's an order, Marine, Logan said, using the old joke between them. Dolphin had been Navy, not Marine Corps, and the ribbing was a running gag. Get moving! Dolphin stood there for another heartbeat, his face working through a dozen emotions. Then he moved to Logan, grabbed him in a brief, fierce hug. You're the best friend I ever had, Dolphin whispered. I know, Logan said. Now get out of here before I change my mind. Dolphin pulled back, nodded once, then sprinted out of the building toward Viper's position. Logan watched him go, then turned to the pile of explosives and detonation cord they'd brought for the breach. Time to get to work. Oracle, I'm going to need a crash course in demolition setup. I know the basics, but this needs to be perfect. Copy that, Oracle said, her voice professional, compartmentalizing her emotions the way good operators did. First step, secure the biocanisters in the hardest cover available. The medical shelter Viper mentioned is in the northwest corner. Can you move them safely? Logan examined the canisters. They were refrigerated, sealed, and surprisingly portable. Yeah, I can move them. They're on a cart system. Looks like they were designed for transport. Good, Oracle said. Move them now. Once they're secured, we'll walk through the demolition setup. For the next 20 minutes, Logan worked while the firefight raged outside. He could hear his team systematically clearing the compound, the volume of fire decreasing as enemy resistance was eliminated. He didn't listen to the specifics. Didn't want to know who was taking fire, who was wounded, who might not make it. He focused on the work. Moved the canisters. Set up the medical shelter as a makeshift bunker, surrounding it with sandbags and metal plates they'd brought for a casualty collection point. Placed charges throughout the compound, carefully threading detonation cord, creating a network of destruction that would reduce everything to ash and rubble. Oracle's voice guided him through each step, calm and precise. You're doing good, Logan. You'd make a hell of an ED tech. Thanks, Oracle, Logan said, connecting the last charge. Though I'm hoping this is a one-time gig. Copy that, she said, and he could hear the pain she was hiding. Outside, Viper's voice cut through. All units, compound is clear. 13 enemy Kia, no survivors. We're moving to the extraction point. Logan, status? Charges are set, Logan reported. I've got the biocanister secured in the hardened shelter. Once you're clear, I'll initiate the burn. Understood, Viper said. We're moving out now. You've got a 10-minute window for extraction after detonation. The Hellos are inbound, 2 minutes out from the LZ. Logan. Viper paused. You did good, son. Real good. Thanks, boss, Logan said. Then, keying into the full team channel. Hey, it's been an honor serving with you assholes. Maverick Jr., you two stay ugly. Ghost Reaper, get patched up. Oracle, you're the smartest person I ever met. And Viper. Logan's voice cracked slightly. You're the best commander anyone could ask for. Take care of them. The radio was silent for a moment. Then, one by one, the voices came back. Love you, brother. See you on the other side. You're a legend, Logan. We'll never forget. Maverick's voice was the last. Logan, man, that blind date story was the funniest thing I ever heard. I'm telling everyone when we get back. Logan laughed, surprised that he could. You do that. Make sure my sister knows her matchmaking skills are garbage. Then the sound of helicopters reached his ears. The extraction birds, coming in low and fast. He watched through a gap in the wall as his team moved to the LZ, loading up, the birds lifting off into the night sky. He stood there, alone in the burning compound, holding a detonator that would end everything. And he felt, strangely, at peace. He'd done his job. His brothers were safe. That was enough. Logan stood in the center of the compound, the detonator in his hand feeling heavier than it should. Through his headset, he could hear the helicopters fading into the distance. His team was clear. Safe. That was all that mattered. Viper, I've got confirmation on your extraction, Logan said, forcing his voice to stay level. All birds are clear of the blast zone. I'm initiating the countdown. Wait, a voice cut in. Not Viper. Dolphin. Logan, the Hellos can come back. We can extract you. There's still time. Logan smiled, even though no one could see it. Negative, Dolphin. The compound needs to burn now. Every minute we wait is another minute those canisters could be compromised. We both know that. Logan, tell your kid you love him. Logan interrupted. That's an order. Tell him you're proud of him. Tell him you're sorry. Tell him all the things I wish I could tell someone. Dolphin's voice broke. You deserve better than this. Maybe, Logan said. But this is what I got. And you know what? I'm okay with it. I'm making sure my brothers live. That's not a bad way to go. He looked around the compound one last time. The bodies. The burning buildings. The canisters of death secured in their makeshift bunker. Oracle, one last question. Anything, Logan. The blast, will it be quick? The silence stretched for a moment. Then Oracle's voice came back, soft and honest. Yes. You won't feel anything. The primary charges will create an overpressure wave. You'll be gone before your brain can process it. Good, Logan said. That's good. He took a breath. There's something I need to say. Something I should have said a long time ago. The radio crackled with anticipation. Every member of the team was listening. Logan knew it. Could feel their attention across the miles. I joined the army because I didn't know what else to do. Grew up poor, no prospects, no future. The recruiter promised me adventure and purpose. But what I found was something better. I found family. I found brothers who would die for me and who I would die for. And I found out that I mattered. That my life could mean something. He looked at the detonator. I'm not scared. I'm not angry. I'm grateful. Grateful that I got to serve with the best men I've ever known. Grateful that my last act on this earth is keeping them safe. His voice grew quieter. There's someone I never told, never had the courage to tell. Dolphin, brother, you were more than my teammate. You were my best friend. The person who made me want to be better. And I love you, man. Not romantic, not weird, just love. The way brothers love each other. The way family does. Dolphin's sob came through the radio clear and raw. Logan, I love you too. I always did. I know, Logan said. I know. That's why this is worth it. He looked up at the sky, at the stars just becoming visible through the smoke. Viper, one more thing. In my footlocker, there's a letter. Give it to my sister. Tell her I'm sorry I was such a pain in the ass. Tell her that blind date story one more time so she knows I died the way I lived, making everyone laugh at my expense. Consider it done, Viper said, his voice thick. Logan Reed, you are a credit to the uniform and to the Brotherhood. You will not be forgotten. Thanks, boss, Logan said. All right, enough sentiment. Let's blow this hellhole to Kingdom Come. He looked at the detonator, at the simple switch that would end everything. This is Sergeant Logan Reed, initiating Protocol Uranus. All personnel are clear. Compound is hot. Detonation in 3, 2, 1. He pressed the switch. For a microsecond, nothing happened. Then the world became light and sound and fury. The charges detonated in perfect sequence, a chain reaction of destruction that turned the compound into an instant inferno. The buildings collapsed inward, the ammunition stores cooked off in secondary explosions, and the entire site became a crater of fire and devastation. Logan felt the overpressure wave hit him like a wall. Oracle had been right. There was no pain. Just a moment of intense heat and light, and then nothing. His last thought wasn't of fear or regret. It was of Dolphin's laugh, of Maverick's jokes, of Junior's nervous energy, of Oracle's brilliant mind, of Viper's steady leadership, of the brothers he'd saved with his sacrifice. He died standing, detonator still in his hand, a warrior's death in a war that would never be acknowledged. The fire consumed everything, reducing the compound and its deadly cargo to ash and memory. The biocanisters, secured in their bunker, survived the blast intact, later recovered by CBRN specialists and destroyed properly. But Logan Reed didn't know that. He was already gone. In the helicopters, racing away from the explosion, his team watched the fireball light up the night sky. Dolphin pressed his face against the window, tears streaming down his face. Maverick and Junior held each other, grief written across their faces. Oracle stared straight ahead, her jaw clenched so tight it ached. And Viper, their commander, the man who'd made the call, closed his eyes and added another name to the list of brothers he'd sent home in boxes. The radio crackled one last time. Static. Interference from the blast. But for just a moment, Dolphin could have sworn he heard Logan's voice, faint and distant, saying one final thing. Tell them I said goodbye. Then nothing. Just the sound of rotors, and the fading light of an explosion that had saved thousands of lives at the cost of one. The debriefing room at the forward operating base was too clean, too bright, too far removed from the mud and blood of the Golden Triangle. Captain Jack Viper Miller sat across from Colonel Harrison, a career intelligence officer who'd never spent a day in actual combat, and tried to find the words to explain what they'd lost. The operation was a success, Colonel Harrison said, reading from a tablet. The bioweapons cache has been secured and destroyed. The Quiver compound is completely neutralized. Initial intelligence suggests this was a joint operation between Russian military contractors and cartel elements, creating weapons for sale to the highest bidder. Your team prevented a catastrophic security breach. He looked up. Well done, Captain. Viper said nothing, just stared at the wall behind the colonel's head. Captain Miller? Harrison prompted. The report is accurate, Viper said, his voice flat. The mission was successful. And the casualties? Viper's jaw tightened. Sergeant Logan Reed, Kia, voluntarily remained behind to ensure compound destruction and prevent bioweapons compromise. His actions saved the team and potentially thousands of civilian lives. Harrison made a note on his tablet. Sergeant Reed will be recommended for the Silver Star posthumously. His sacrifice will be noted in the classified record. Classified. The word tasted like ash. Logan would get a medal that would sit in a box that would never be opened, honored in ceremonies that would never be public, mourned by a family that would never know the truth. He'd be buried with a cover story, some training accident or vehicle collision, and the real story of his heroism would die with the men who'd witnessed it. The Phoenix asset, Harrison continued. I understand you secured intelligence indicating other compounds, like the Quiver, are operating in the region? Affirmative, Viper said. We recovered documents and hard drives before the demolition. Intelligence is being analyzed now. Excellent, Harrison said, smiling. This operation may have broken open an entire network. You and your team should be commended. Viper stood abruptly. Permission to be dismissed, sir. Harrison blinked, surprised. Captain, we're not finished with the debrief. With respect, sir, yes we are. The mission is complete. The report is filed. I need to be with my team. Harrison's expression hardened. Captain, I understand you lost a man. But the mission, Viper interrupted, his voice cold as ice, cost me one of the best soldiers I've ever known. A man who volunteered to die so the rest of us could live. So with all due respect, Colonel, I don't give a damn about your commendations or your analysis right now. I need to be with my brothers. The room went silent. Harrison stared at Viper, clearly debating whether to push back. Finally, he nodded. Dismissed, Captain. But we'll finish this debrief tomorrow. Viper didn't respond, just turned and walked out. In the hallway, he found his team waiting. Dolphin sat on a bench, head in his hands. Maverick and Junior leaned against the wall, faces hollow. Oracle stood by a window, staring out at nothing. Ghost was in the medical bay, Reaper already evacuated to a field hospital. They looked up when Viper approached. Looked at him with eyes that had seen too much, lost too much. He's getting the Silver Star, Viper said. Nobody responded. Awards didn't bring back the dead. I'm recommending we all get a week's leave. Get away from this place. Process what happened. Dolphin looked up, his face ravaged. How do you process this? How do you just move on? Viper had no answer. He'd lost men before. Would lose more in the future. That was the cost of leadership in their line of work. But it never got easier. Never stopped feeling like a knife in the chest. You don't move on, Oracle said quietly, still staring out the window. You move forward. You carry them with you. You honor them by living the life they gave their lives to protect. She turned to face the team. Logan didn't die for nothing. He died because he loved us more than he feared death. That's not tragedy. That's heroism. Maverick pushed off the wall. Oracle's right. Logan would kick our asses if he saw us falling apart. He'd tell us to get up, dust off, and keep going. That's what warriors do. I'm going to see his family, Dolphin said suddenly. I'm going to tell his sister about the blind date story. I'm going to make sure they know he was loved. We all will, Junior said. They deserve to know who their brother really was. Viper nodded. Agreed. But first, we honor him our way. The way operators do. He pulled out a bottle of whiskey from his pack, against every regulation, and set it on the bench. To Logan Reed, the bravest son of a bitch I ever knew. They passed the bottle around, each taking a drink, each saying something about Logan. A memory. A joke. A moment that captured who he was. The laughter mixed with tears, grief and celebration intertwined the way they always were when warriors mourn their dead. Hours later, when the bottle was empty and the sun was rising, Viper found himself alone in his quarters. He opened his laptop and began typing the real report. The one that would never be filed officially. The one that told the truth. Sergeant Logan Reed died as he lived, protecting his brothers. He volunteered for a mission with no chance of survival because it was the right thing to do. He stood alone in a burning compound, surrounded by death, and chose to ensure our safety over his own. He died with honor, with courage, and with love for his team. History won't remember his name. The public will never know his sacrifice. But we will. His brothers will carry his memory until our own dying days. And when we join him, wherever warriors go when they fall, we will embrace him and thank him for the gift of life he gave us. Viper closed the laptop. Outside, the sun was fully up now, painting the sky in shades of gold and red. Phoenix colors. Rising from the ashes. Logan had given them that. A new day. A future. The Phoenix asset they'd recovered would lead to other operations, other saves, other victories. Lives would be saved because Logan had made a choice in a compound deep in the Golden Triangle. That was the burden and the beauty of what they did. One man's sacrifice rippling outward, changing the world in ways that would never be acknowledged, saving people who would never know his name. Viper stood, straightened his uniform, and walked out to face another day. Behind him, metaphorically and literally, Logan Reed stood watch. Always vigilant. Always faithful. A ghost in the machine of war, making sure his brothers made it home. The Golden Triangle had claimed another warrior. But it hadn't broken them. It had forged them stronger. And somewhere, in whatever existence awaited fallen soldiers, Logan Reed smiled. His brothers were safe. His mission was complete. He had done his duty. And that, in the end, was all any warrior could ask for.